everybody, Kyle here with Myers Defense. I want to talk about setting high standards for ourselves and why. So, typically, when it comes to standards, what I've noticed a lot lately is they're good enough standards, right? They're just good enough, just scrape by. And what I mean by that is a lot of your standards nowadays are set on A zone targets, right? Or bigger targets. And if you don't know what an A zone target is, it is a 6x11 target, roughly. And that's cool. A lot of people use that target because it's roughly the same size as the high thoracic cavity. So your heart, your lungs, all your vital organs, right? So that's why the A zone is so popular. In my mind, like I said, it's training for good enough. And I don't like that. I don't like that kind of training. I don't want to train to just be good enough. I want to train to be exceptional. I want to be better than good enough. I want to be more than just enough, right? I want more. So when I set standards in my classes, right, it's, I use a lot of 5-inch circles. Why? Because it's roughly half the size of an A zone. I'm losing a 1/2 inch windage and I'm losing 6 inches elevation. So it's roughly half the size. Not only that, I shoot a lot of B8s out at 25 and farther. The 9 ring on a B8 is roughly 5.5 inches. So if I'm used to shooting 5 inches and even out to 25 yards when I run a 5-inch circle out at that distance, I'm gaining a 1/2 inch when I shoot a B8. So it's beneficial there as well. But not only that, when I set standards, so we'll do the 5x5 drill, right? So for those of you who don't know what the 5x5 drill is, it's 5 rounds at 5 yards in a 5-inch circle. Emphasis on the in a 5-inch circle. So a lot of people will run a drill such as that, and they'll have a line burner. So they'll split the line. Well, for me, I count that as a miss. Why? Because I'm not within the circle. I'm kind of in the circle, but I'm kind of not. So am I really benefiting myself by counting that as a hit? Or am I doing myself a injustice by counting that as a hit? To me, I'm not helping myself, so why do I want to count it? For me, for it to count, they all need to be within that line. I can't split the line. So that's what I talk about when I set standards, right? So I don't count line burners in my classes. I don't count line burners in my practice. I don't count them in my classes for my students. And people are going to say, well, doesn't that discourage them? Doesn't that make them not want to come to class and so on and so forth? I hope not. You shouldn't come to a firearms class to feel good about yourself. You should come to learn and come to better yourself. So when I take a class from another instructor, I want someone who's going to set high standards. Not just in high accuracy standards, but high performance standards as well. And that's what I strive to do in my classes. So whether you're a new shooter or you're an experienced shooter, standards need to be set and standards need to be met. So I don't expect a first-time gun owner to be able to fire 5 rounds within a 5-inch circle in 3 seconds. However, if you're a more experienced shooter, I'm going to give you that standard. If you achieve that standard, awesome. If not, it gives you a goal to work for. Now, if you're a new shooter and you want to achieve that standard, but your time is, 6 seconds, just work towards it. It gives you a goal to work towards. That's why we need to set high standards, because if we set low standards, then we're setting ourselves up for just being good enough. And as someone who carries a gun every day, I don't want to be just good enough. I want to be on point. My abilities need to be at a high level. So how do you get to a high level? You set high standards. If you don't, then you're not really ever going to be at a high level. Now, if you look at all the great shooters, right? You know, they set high standards for themselves. If, you know, their main focus is speed, they set high speed standards. If their main focus is accuracy, they set high accuracy standards. And really good, really well-rounded shooters set high standards in both, as we should all strive to do. We should all strive to set high standards in everything. Not just our shooting, but everything in life. But when it does come to shooting, we do need to set those extremely high standards, because if we can achieve those standards with no stress, we set the time, the place, the location, everything, right? And we can achieve those high standards. If it comes time for us to need to use those abilities, we don't get to set the time. We don't get to set the place. We don't get to set the weather conditions. We don't get to choose any of that. So if we train to a high standard, to a high level, then we'll perform at a higher level than if we train at a lower standard. All right, this is Kyle Myers Defense. Train with a purpose.